So thanks for joining us on Inverclyde TV. The first question I have for all of you is, did any of you have a martial arts background before you started the show?
Yeah, I studied Ishiru when I was a kid. I was a Michigan State Pee Wee champion, and then I brought some of those skills to the show and improved upon my skills once I got on.
Excellent.
I studied Shaolin Kung Fu before the show.
Excellent.
I don't know karate, but I know crazy. So no, I was a dancer, so I had no martial arts background. I learned from the stunt team and my co-stars helped me out.
Yep, and I was a competitive gymnast most of my life growing up, so I brought gymnastics to the role and learned, I guess, what they call television karate when we had to fight.
Yeah. Excellent. So the kind of legacy of Power Rangers is obviously something that's, like Colin was talking about there, it's still, the reboot movie earlier on this year. It's never stopped, it's always been on, they've updated it so many times. How do you guys feel about being such a part of history of, a really important, well-loved kids TV show?
I think we're all really proud. I mean, it's humbling. The fact that we have basically 3 generations of watchers, which is not anything I think any of us expected. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's something that's, like I say, it comes back around, it's like kids now are sitting watching it with their parents who watched it and, that kind of stuff. And they've all got their own Rangers that they kind of relate to, and, that was my Green Ranger was the one when I was growing up and so on. And do you feel there's like a responsibility to keep the story alive, to kind of, not through, shows and things like that, but through these appearances, kind of promote Power Rangers to keep it alive?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of the way that we thank the fans, like, doing shows like this. It's like we finally get to meet them. They were little kids, and to be face to face and hear their stories and actually see how the show affected their life. It's mind blowing.
It's a privilege.
Yeah.
Excellent. A couple other questions. After Power Rangers, I know some of you have moved into other fields. David, I know you do some producing, and some of you do voice acting. Was it hard to transition from, on-screen acting to these other roles?
For me,
Go ahead.
For me, no. I mean, just as an actor working on Power Rangers, it was such a learning ground for me, and I would always pay attention to one of our producers because I just really liked his style, and he had our system down to such a method. And like I was always impressed because we were shooting 4 episodes at one time, and just the way that it ran like a well-oiled machine. And so I just always took that, and when I started producing, I took on a lot of his qualities and really brought that to it. So I think Power Rangers gave me not only acting experience, but just all the technical stuff that I would need to be a producer.
Okay, Karen, what about you? I know you had a career before, as you were in a band before.
Yeah, I was in a singing group. Yeah, prior to we were signed to A&M Records, and I always felt like that was my boot camp for Power Rangers because we had such a tough, tight work ethic. We had to rehearse, and we didn't have extracurricular activities. We always rehearsed. So when it came time to do Power Rangers, I felt like I just jumped right in and kind of went with the fast pace. But he's right. Like Power Rangers was like the good, the bad, the ugly. It was like you worked the longest hours. You had the schedule that nobody could understand. Like it was almost like shooting a soap opera. Like it was so many episodes. So when I did venture off and started to produce, or when I went and guest starred on different television shows, I was like, oh, they got it easy. It was like this, it's easy to do 1 episode per week as opposed to doing, 4 or, 2 or 4. But yeah, it was a natural progression. I think you just, as an artist, as a creative, you want to do more. You want to express yourself in different ways. So for me, it was a natural progression.
And you guys, I know you have done quite a lot of voice acting.
Yeah.
Was there a progression there? Did you feel that it was easy to slide into, or was it something that took a bit of getting used to?
Well, for me, I actually, for a couple years after Power Rangers, it was just hard for me to get a job. Part of it was like the way I look. I'm like half Asian, so I don't really fit a full Asian. If I go into, like, they're looking for a Chinese guy, some dude walks in much more Chinese than me, he's gonna get it, And then I would even go in for roles that was like Caucasian, but I just didn't fit the bill, So it was really hard for me to get a role. And then half the time I felt like when I went in and they found out that I was a Power Ranger, their expressions changed. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
did
I
they hold that
felt
against
that,
you
yeah.
then?
Yeah, and I don't know if it was that or if it was something else, or maybe I was just feeling that way. But I noticed it whenever that came up. If it was, I don't know if it was a SAG thing or what, you know. But anyway, so it was really hard for a couple of years. I had a really tough time, and I mean, I can't say I was homeless, but I was living with whoever would let me stay with them. You know, I had like a couple trash bags full of clothes, this guitar, and a broken cot. And in that time, I was trying to learn to play the guitar and sing, and I started a band. But then the stunt guys started to do a film, and they asked me to come work with them. And so I worked with them. They're all Japanese, and then the audio got screwed up, and I just went in to dub for the film that I was working on. And as I was dubbing, the producer walked in, heard my voice, and was like, "Oh, you got a decent hero voice." And he asked me to come audition for this anime. And I booked that, and that really just opened the door for me, because then it didn't matter what I looked like.
Yeah.
It's just a voice and, you know, the acting. So it wasn't easy.
Meant to be.
It wasn't easy for me, but it
Yeah.
was just, I was right place at the right time, and it just worked out.
Pretty cool.
That's awesome. My transition was it was pretty easy because I came off the show early on in Power Rangers, and then it was still, the wave was still riding, and so the popularity of the show was good. It didn't affect me, and then I just joined another show. I had a show on Nickelodeon that ran for a couple of seasons, and then I was working for Aaron Spelling, and you know, I was bouncing around from job to job, you know. And I've been fairly consistent working in one form or another over the last 24 years. I also do voiceover, but I do a lot of looping for television and film, and then like some animation and some commercials and that kind of stuff. So.
And I'll just finish on, and I didn't want to finish on such a kind of negative question, but just when you'd said that there, Johnny, about that maybe the stigma of being a Power Ranger affecting you getting other work, did you guys feel that as well, or was that just something that was...
I definitely feel it from time to time still, you know, but I think because we've stayed so popular, I think it's sort of like starting to change in a lot of casting directors and producers' minds. And when they find out how popular we are, then they're like, oh.
Well, they're now fans as well.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it does take some coaching from my agent to really help me get through a door sometimes. Like, you guys don't understand, like, check his social media out, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll see him. Kind of
Yeah.
It's much more retro now too. It's like Hot Topic.
Yep.
It's got all
We're
that
everywhere
stuff.
still. You know, the original cast.
That's it, and people always remember, you know, like the originals,
Yeah.
the ones that were there at the start.
Yeah.
You know, you guys were there close enough, you guys were in the movie, so for some people that might have been their first experience to Power Rangers.
Mighty Morphin or nothing. It's like they love it. So it's awesome. One thing I'll say though, I booked 2 national commercials because of it. Because I went in and then the minute they picked up my resume and read, they were like, "You're on Power Rangers, can I get your autograph?" And I was like, only if I get a decent shot at this commercial.
Yeah.
And I actually booked both of them. So it worked for me.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.